When I was a student studying art history, I'd always been drawn to the painting by Titian called The Death of Actaeon. In this work, Titian depicts the goddess Diana, which is the Roman name for the Greek goddess Artemis, running forward, left arm outstretched, holding her bow in front of her, whilst her right arm is bent and her hand relaxed in the release of the arrow she has just shot Actaeon with. This arrow had pierced Actaeon, who was spying on her nakedness, and turned him into a stag, which in a sense revealed his animal nature and provoked his own hunting dogs to attack him. Titian's image of Artemis forever striding forward, one arm bent, the other reaching ahead with purpose into the future, became a symbol that I have used many times over the years. In 1995, I made 3 paintings based on images from Titian, depicting women in different states of desperation and longing, and in the figure of Artemis moving forward in strength with focus and intent. She had agency and became the symbol of what I wanted to be. In the late 1990s, I branched out from being a painter to make sculpture, and I always had the knowing that one day I would represent Artemis in this form. This took 10 years to realize. I had moved out to the countryside and finally had the space to create large sculpture. I was now on my own, self-sufficient and bringing up 2 children. I now had agency. And in 2009 I made a small work in clay of Artemis, which I called Diana to honor Titian. However, I knew I needed to create her on a monumental scale. She had to be tall, she had to be strong. Her legs had to have the power of strong tree trunks, and her one arm needed to stretch forward as her arrow. She had to focus and knowingness, her eyes closed with an inner vision. Her relaxed right hand, which is now holding the bow, shows more acceptance and agency. And the bow is unstrung. It is no longer meant to be a weapon. Instead, it reaches up to the sky and down to the earth. And for me, this represents the spiritual and the material. As above, so below. While I was constructing the monumental form of Artemis in my outside sculpture studio, my 3 Great Dane dogs milled around at the base of my ladder. I realized then that they had to be part of the story. I envisioned them sprinting forward in front of her, symbolizing her arrows of intent. The dogs in my work can be seen both as guides and protectors in the physical and spiritual. They move between realms. Artemis has become a symbol for me of my inner power and strength as a woman. However, around 2016 I started being drawn to more nurturing feminine archetypes, and I thought that I no longer needed her as a guide. And so in 2018 I made a large painting called Farewell Artemis. This time I depicted her without bow and arrow, and painted her stepping out of the picture, looking back at figures silhouetted in a landscape, reminiscent of the Tankwa Karoo in South Africa, which is a place I love. I had no idea at that time that her stepping out of that frame, stepping out of that landscape, prefigured my leaving South Africa. However, I now see that I needed her courage and strength to make that move. She is still with me. She is now within me and is representative of a larger sense of self, the part of me that strides forward into the unknown.